think this city is taller Everest. And I find it so hard trying to reel myself in. Cause you so basic, I cannot count.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Rapclout Official Interview. It's your boy, Art. We are back fresh from the New Year's. And we got a very special guest in the building, Vinnies PM. Did I pronounce that right? I know we had a little conversation.
You good. What's going on? What's going on, man? What's going on?
Man, I'm good. How are you, King?
Yeah, I'm just here, man. I'm just vibing. I'm just glad to be here, you know. Glad to here to talk with you and stuff like that.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's get started, man. You are from Brooklyn, of course.
Yeah.
Repping that hard. Tell us about your upbringing being from Flatbush.
You know, like being from like East Flatbush and stuff, it was very crazy, you know, because you're kind of growing up around a time where there's a lot of things like happening, like especially like not even just like things that's going on in the hood, but like musically a lot of things was popping off and like East Flatbush and stuff, like because you had artists like the Pro Errors come out, the Joey Badasses come out. Then you had the Bobby and the Rowdy with GS9. You know, it was a lot of stuff going on in East Flatbush, and then at that whole time, that whole stretch, it was a lot of gang violence. You know, like gangs and shit was like at an all-time high. Like during that time, probably from like '09 to like I even say like to even like 2014. It's just been real crazy, you know, during that whole time. So it's been like. It's been a hard like road to carry through because you had to really figure out a way to balance whether you want to be in the hood or just be an innocent bystander and be either one of those people which is not working out for you. You know, shit was gonna go downhill regardless. So you just had to try to maneuver yourself and just try to be safe. That's pretty much like upbringing there for the most part.
That's interesting, man. How did you remain focused, or in other words, like how did you remain? And not to say you are, but how did you remain an innocent bystander, like without getting yourself involved in all the activities that was going on?
I mean, people just, you know, it's all about the energy you bring off, you know. That's one thing that matters most, you know. It's all about the energy. As long as you bring out a positive energy around you, you know, people are really never gonna mess with you. Or they might try you a little bit, but then after that, it's never gonna really be nothing. So, yeah, that's all I try to do. I just try to like keep a positive note. You know, people that was in my neighborhood, even if they was in gangs, they never really had a problem with me because I was always that person that was just like you know, they already knew where I stood, and it was just a matter of just respecting it. You know, but I appreciate it every time. Like so I appreciate it all the time. Like just even growing up here, just even being from here. You know. And I just carry it to like the death of me, you know.
Now you mentioned a lot of artists during that time. So
Yeah.
Who were some of your musical influences when you started into music?
Oh, sheesh, guys, a lot. I mean, me when I was trying to learn music and stuff, like the one thing that always stuck out to me heavy was like '90s like hip hop. Like I was a real addict. Like even still a little bit, but like I was a real addict of like '90s hip hop, like heavy, you know, and that influenced me because I always love creativity. I love uniqueness, you know. That's one thing that stands out to me more than anything. You know, I don't care about how it sounds. Like of course I care about how it sounds, but like uniqueness plays a huge role for me. Like somebody being able to stand out above the others. I always will respect that. Even if it's not even like, that shit is not even like dope type shit. I will always respect that. But like, that's what made me love like 90s hip hop. And like growing up more, I started to listen to more like alternative music. I started listening to a lot of like Paramore. I started listening to a lot of like Green Day and stuff because I wanted to like really just dive into like different types of sounds because I knew that I love hip hop. And hip hop has always have a special place in my heart, but I just know it's so much more music than that, you know. So those we said.
Was that the approach that you went towards when you were making Beyond the Strobes? Because it didn't sound like what's the trendy sound that's right now. It sounded completely different, completely unique. Was that the idea you had going into that project?
Yeah, when I created Beyond the Strobes, I wanted to do something that sounded like what I know, what I love, but still have that modern sound.
What's
And I
that?
want like I love nostalgic hip hop, you know. And what I do and what I also love, when I started making that project, I really fell in love with like Travis Scott music or like Jada Smith music, stuff like that. And I love that spacey like sound that it has, but it's still but in some cases they still carry on that element that you know is like is hip hop or is rap, whatever. And that's kind of why I wanted to approach it. And I wanted to have something that I personally feel would be a classic and be something that people will look back to and be like, wow, this kid was really onto something. So that's kind of what I want with Beyond the Show. I just wanted to be different, you know.
And you mentioned how you know you still tapped into the Travis Scott, this so basically this kind of era. So I mean, my next question was gonna be like, how do you remain relevant even though your sound, people might say like you specifically are old school, you got that old school vibe to you, but
Yeah, yeah,
somehow listening to your project, I still felt some type like relevant to this time. Like it didn't
yeah,
feel like, oh, this is like a 90s project. This is still,
yeah.
it felt presence. Like how do you do that? How do you manage to do that?
Just by it's all about it's all about the music you listen to, of course. You know, you can never put your mindset and like into that one box. Once you do that, it's over. Like you cannot do that at all. And just understanding the genre as a whole. Because me personally, I always felt like if you're somebody that loves hip hop, you will love hip hop in all of its forms. You know what I'm saying? And because you can't be a person that loves that say you love hip hop and you only want to listen to 90s music, only want to listen to boom bap, or you want to listen to that. You don't love hip hop. You love like that sound of hip hop, but you don't love hip hop. And that was something that I had to like just understand with myself in order to do what I actually want to do. Because there was a time where I was like saying like, oh fuck all that new shit, like feel me, like this shit is not fire, this shit is not it, like this shit is not real. But then I started looking back, I'm like, yo, that's ignorant as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like that's ignorant as shit. Especially somebody who really care about this culture. Like we should always care about progressing it. But still you might maybe have those times where you try to like rejuvenate certain things that the art is really like creative, but just always try to progress the culture. That's all that matters. That's what hip hop has always been about, progression, you know. And that's once you understand that, it's just everything is run smoothly.
How do you think that will happen though? Like, what are some steps people can take to try to progress the culture forward? Is that kind of what you're saying? It's tapping into, you know, this new sound or tapping
Yeah,
into the littles or the whoever that's out instead of dismissing it. Is that kind of how we progress this culture forward?
yeah, we gotta learn to appreciate it first. Like the first step is always appreciation. Appreciate appreciate the sound in whatever form it comes in. You know, because it's still hip hop at the end of the day. It's like it's the equivalent of like you being at Thanksgiving, you got all your family over, and you got that one weird kid cousin that's part of the family. He doing some wild shit, but it's like, yo, you still gotta accept them. That's still family, you know. That's kind of how it is. It's all about appreciation first. Once you appreciate, that's when you'll be able to progress because your mind is more open towards the sounds of hip hop and it's not closed. So then, while your mind being more open, you're open to more ideas and more thoughts, and then that creates progression.
Man, it's been about what, a year and what, a couple months since that last project came out, Beyond the Strobes. Like
Yeah, yeah.
what were some things you learned from that project, man? Because I see you haven't put out any new project or any music. Like what are you taking your time to present something or but I mean first you can answer the first question. What were some things you learned, you know, from making that body of work? Because that was your first project, right?
Yeah, my first project. What I learned what I learned from that project is that it made me learn like how the music shit, like how the music business and everything really works, and how like you really have to the things you have to do to progress. Because I didn't the way I moved it beyond the Strobes, I didn't push it as hard as I felt like I should have. I shouldn't have really try to get that out there to the masses. Really try to let people hear that. And that was around the time when I was kind of a little like, I wouldn't say I was scared or nervous, but I wasn't too fond of constructive criticism, or too fond to like hearing what other people guys say. Because I'd be afraid that they're gonna say something bad, and that was on me at that time. I was just scared, and I wasn't as confident as I am now musically. And once I learned that, they were just like, I know what to do now. And I released like two tracks this year, and they did really good. And I'm just happy that I've done that and reached that level to really just not care and just like release the stuff that I like, pretty much.
No, that's fire, man. You said something right now, and I kind of want to like dive more into it.
Yeah.
I think it's something that people don't highlight a lot, and I think there's a difference between being confident and being like a creative that's confident. That's
Yeah.
like that. There's a huge gap between those two, right? Because
Yes.
as creatives, we get really insecure about what we put out, and you're afraid of the feedbacks. But sometimes you just got to put the work out and just accept that that's going to come regardless. Because once you accept that, I think it helps with the process. But
Yeah.
that you mentioned that.
It's like a huge chip off your shoulder, you know, when that happens. But once you like what you say, once you begin to like to say like whatever, like just get it out there. Well, it's like once you get out of that mindset, everything just gets so much easier. You know, the music gets better. You know, the ideas become a lot more stronger. It's just because you remove that feeling of being afraid, and that just makes everything better. You know.
No, I watched an interview of you, and you said that you want people to focus more on spiritual healing.
Yeah.
Like when did you start focusing on that?
I started focusing on spiritual healing like when I was in like I said like around when I was in like 11th grade of high school a couple of years ago, and I wanted to. I felt like it was a lot of negative things like surfacing me because I was going through like a true identity crisis. Like this is how much every high schooler goes through. You go through an identity crisis, and it kind of made me very insecure about myself, and it really put a lot of negative thoughts like and negative like things towards me. So that's when I started tapping in more into like my spiritual side and really just trying to like just cleanse myself from all that negativity, you know, because I know that's gonna be something that's gonna be a strong boulder towards achieving what I want to achieve and being where I want to be. And once I understood that and once I started getting to that, everything just started getting a little more easier.
I really love that message, man. When I was listening to the interview, I'm like, wow, it like 2020, that message would have been so powerful.
Yes,
You
yes.
know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Everything that we were going through, man, like people need to just lean into their spiritual side and I don't know, just I feel like it would have helped them more, like accept what's happening in 2020, and I think that can still carry on to 2021. You know, we're still not we've already experienced the unexpected, right? So
Yeah.
who
The bar
knows?
is low for 2021. Pretty much.
Yeah,
The
that's
bar
what,
is low.
like who knows what we're gonna explain. But speaking of 2020, explain your kind of your reaction when you saw just how well you did numbers wise. on your Spotify replay streams and your Apple streams. Because I saw that and I was like, oh, that's pretty impressive for someone who released the project, 2019. Like, for people to still be soaking that in must have felt great for you.
Shit, oh my God. Like 2020, like it was the biggest blessing in disguise, like, because when I released these 2 records, I was very scared, I was very extremely scared because this is when I decided to take a break from like listening to like certain music, and I switched my whole like sound what I was listening to. I started listening to a lot more house music, I started getting heavy on listening to house music, started to listen to a bunch of things. And when I created those 2 records, it was like it was a whole different sound, like completely different sound. So I was really scared about how people was going to take it. And people just really took it like in a great way, and it's just wild. Like I look back at it, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like that's what happened when I decided to experiment a little bit. Things actually like started moving a little bit, and it's just crazy. I really can't even explain to you. Like, yeah, I can't.
Nah, that's fire, man. I'm congratulations on that, man.
Thank you, bro.
That's dope, man. I'm very, very happy for that. What can we expect for you in 2021?
2021, definitely it's gonna be a project dropping. Definitely. So definitely be some singles, a whole project dropping. I'm trying to get on a more active tip. So
how complete is the project?
Right now, the project is like 75% complete, 75 to 80% complete. It's gonna be a sequel. It's gonna be pretty much like a sequel to like Beyond the Strobes, pretty much. And it's gonna continue the story because the whole story behind that. Yeah, so it's a lot.
If you don't mind, what was the message? Maybe I didn't catch that. I listened to the project, but I didn't think I caught the message behind it.
Beyond the Strobes was pretty much saying like, there's life beyond the spotlight. There's life beyond the flash. It's life beyond the fame. It's life beyond the fortune. It's beyond all that. It's so much things above that. Besides the things that we glamorize, and besides things that we care about. And then that was pretty much the message that, like, let's just focus on us. Like instead of like what the public feels or what the people feels or anything that you feel will destroy your credibility. Let's just focus on us because we beyond all that. We bigger than all that. That was pretty much the message with it. And right now we just ascending. That's pretty much. It's gonna be constant ascension with these projects, right? When you see the name titles and stuff, it's gonna be constant ascension. We're just gonna be constantly going higher and higher and higher.
Man, I never caught that message. That's a very powerful message.
Yeah.
We really are beyond these materialistic things that we, give power to. But
yeah,
that's a dope message. Just a last minute question before we get out of here. You mentioned him earlier, and I want to ask you how you feel about it. How do you feel about Roddy being home?
Oh shit.
Because you mentioned the GS9 crew earlier, so.
Yo, oh my God, that I'm not even gonna lie. That was
Brooklyn's
like
going nuts, huh?
That shit was like the greatest feeling of the whole fucking year for New York. Oh my God. Yeah, I was like, when I was watching like the clips like on Instagram of him actually out, like that shit was like giving me goosebumps because I really couldn't believe it actually, like something like that happened. Like, because people don't realize like how much like I feel like the world like understands like the passion of pop, how that felt. Yeah. But I feel like internally in New York, in New York City or Brooklyn, whatever, like, people don't understand how hard that shit hit us. Like, we all felt like we lost somebody. Like, we all felt like we lost a close relative. Like, I still feel that shit every day. I be on Instagram and I randomly pass by, like, Pop Smoke shit, and I'll just be watching that shit for, like, hours, mad clips. Like, that shit hurts. Like, fuck. So to see Rowdy coming out, it was just like, wow, like, something good happened. Something good happened for us. So, like I said, we all felt that.
Nah, that's a fact. I tweeted this morning. I said, when not Pop Smoke, God rest his dead. I said, when Bobby gets out, the culture needs to celebrate Bobby heavily. I don't know what
Heavy.
we gonna do as culture, but the hip hop culture needs to celebrate Bobby. Like I honestly don't know how heavy.
Hip hop better do what they gotta do to make sure he's back on top, because with
Yes.
this whole situation that we had with the 6ix9ine shit and all that, like, and how everybody was like talking down on Rats. You guys should show all you people that was talking down on Rats, which I personally agree with them talking down on, is right. You know, I respect it. That's a street code. I respect it 100%. But all the people that was talking down on it, show an example to the whole world what happens when you don't rap. And bring that energy to Bobby. Show the whole world the example of what happens. Make sure Bobby goes right back on top.
Mm-hmm.
Give that man all the features. Give that man whatever the fuck he needs to be back on top to where he previously was before he got locked.
That's a fact. Drake, get ready. Because Bobby need that Drake feature.
Yo, Drake, everybody, bro. Drake, Lil Baby, the Baby, Roddy, I don't know. Everybody got to throw him something.
Man, I appreciate you for stopping by, man. Thank you for the conversation.
Yeah, man, for sure, bro.
It's dope. It's dope.
Thank you for having me here, bro.
Nah, for real, it's really dope kicking it with you. Rapclout Official Interview, the boy Art, and we'll see y'all, man. Peace.